And good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Morning Quest. Happy Friday, happy August 9th, and a good day to all you gamers. Anyway, we've got an absolutely wild one for everybody today. We're talking about a wide variety of things. Final Fantasy's on the table, D23 is on the table, the Switch and the PS2 are on the table. There is, again, no shortage of things for us to talk about. Hope you've got your coffee and tea ready, maybe a little bit of breakfast, because, again, there's plenty to discuss today. I see we've got Lance the Master, Rojix, Luz, and Andy123 in the chat this morning. Early birds get that worm, but our boy Andy here appears to be actually going to sleep, so this is a evening quest, maybe, or a bedtime quest. Anyway, real excited about today's episode. By the way, shout out to everybody who tuned into last night's podcast. Did a whole episode about which Kingdom Hearts game is the darkest. The stream cut out right before I wrapped up, which pretty much means we're probably not going to stream the podcast to Twitter anymore. Not a Twitter problem, but doing 3 platforms, it jams up the stream too many times. Worth a shot, though. Anyway, Josh Z, what's going on, man? Oh, man, absolute legends here, man. Absolute legends. Happy Friday, gang. All right, let's dive right into this. let's dive right into this. So check it out, guys. It's happening. Something I guess we all knew was eventually going to happen. And I want to maybe take some time to discuss why the two best-selling consoles of all time are the Nintendo Switch and the PS2. But let's scroll down just a little bit here. Again, right now, the Switch is currently sitting at 143 million units, which is insane. The PS2 is sitting at 160 million units. So Nintendo needs to put another 17, 18 million Switches out there before they can claim the crown. Me personally, I don't have any like bias. Like, I love both Nintendo and Sony. Like, for as long as I can remember, PlayStation and Nintendo consoles have been in my home. So I think both bring something unique to the table. But I think this is a sign that, I remember back in like the PS2, PS3 days, the GameCube, Wii era, even when the Wii did very well, people really felt like Sony and Microsoft were going to run away with this thing, especially when the Wii U dropped. The way Nintendo completely pulled this 180 from going to, I don't want to say nearly irrelevant, but it's worth mentioning, guys, that in the Wii U era, Game Freak and the Pokemon Company were fully ready to take Pokemon and make it a mobile title. Sword and Shield was being built as if it may have to be ported onto your mobile phone. So that's really where Nintendo was not too long ago, guys, maybe 8, 9 years ago. Let's just say 10 years ago. It really, I don't want to say doom and gloom, but it wasn't looking good for them. But they managed to turn it around. Now, the question would be, what do these two consoles have in common? How did the PS2 and the Nintendo Switch end up the two best-selling consoles of all time? There's been no shortage of consoles on the market. And I think it just comes down to catalog. When you think about the PS2, the catalog is near endless. Every third-party game came to the PS2. Back in those days, Sony had a lot of first-party content that they could offer a player, which is not the case for Sony in modern day, but it is the case for Nintendo in modern day, right? At the end of the day, Nintendo Switch's catalog is insane. No matter what kind of gamer you are. If you're an old school gamer, between Nintendo Switch Online and all those ports, plenty of games. If you like first-party content from Nintendo, they've put out some of the best first-party content they ever have on the Nintendo Switch. If you like third-party content, up until the last couple years, the Switch was actually pretty damn good for that. It still is, but modern third-party content just cannot come to the Switch. But I really think, there's a lot of factors that play into both of these consoles' success, but I really think it just comes down to the catalog. The PS2 had so many games. There was a game for everyone on the PS2. And just like with the Switch, there's a game for everybody on the Nintendo Switch. I think it's a interesting time for Nintendo, because this is a tough act to follow. When PlayStation followed the PS2 at the PS3, it was a bit of a weak generation. Not that the PS3 didn't have its good catalog of games. Of course it did. That whole generation's pretty good. But compared to the PS2, their sales and everything like that were down. So I gotta say, it'll be interesting to see how Nintendo follows this up. We know that there's a Switch 2 on the horizon, a successor, you might say. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Okay, let's move on to our next story here. We're actually going to watch this Echoes of Wisdom trailer. I've not seen any of it. I'm going in pretty much completely blind. Here, let me unmute it so you guys can hear. And I'm just going to put the chat away just for now. You guys will come back. Don't worry. Just so we can get a better view. All right. I've not seen this yet. I've seen my boy Borna Kokiri mention it. He seems to be all in. Can't blame him. He's a huge Zelda fan. You all should check him out. And he has a great Zelda podcast. But anyway, let's tune into this. Let's see what we're in for. I'm pretty excited about this game. How are we doing on resolution? Good. I'm pretty excited about this game. I really like Tears of the Kingdom. I love Tears of the Kingdom. I'll even say I love it. I've put 100 hours into it. I love it. But there is a part of me that longs for the more linear Zelda, and I look forward to this maybe quenching that thirst. Josh Z saying PS3 was not dev-friendly. It looks that way because the PS2 was the king of third-party content, and the PS3 definitely had third-party content, but it was such a step down from what the PS2 was. And there's a reason they kept selling PS2s the entire time the PlayStation 3 was available. All right, enough of my yapping. Let's get into this trailer. Guys, you let me know how the volumes are. If you need me to turn it up, you need me to turn it down, you just let me know. But anyway, let's roll.
Welcome to Hyrule, a vast land where Princess Zelda will journey through her...
All right, excuse me. It's a little loud for me on my end. Let's turn this down here. I'll turn it up there. Now go.
...grand adventure. Hyrule is a land of plentiful abundance. From the central plateau, where Hyrule Castle stands enfolded by its castle...
You know, you know what happens, guys, is I keep the stream on my screen just so I can keep track of the chat, but I keep it on 144p not to jam my stream up, so sometimes the videos just swap over, but we're good.
Town.
By the way, I love the way this looks too. I love the way this looks too. You know, I know people can be stingy about these sort of chibi-ish, cutesy sort of art styles. I really don't mind them in subtitle games. I really don't mind them in spin-offs. And if anything, I really like the art style. It looks like, I don't know, it looks sort of like wooden toy soldier, sort of Christmas vibes. And I like the Link's Awakening game. I thought it was good.
Outermost reaches, you'll encounter new and interesting people in each of its diverse regions.
Okay, so again, that sort of view, we'll see, but I'm pretty sure everything you can see in this landscape, you're able to traverse. Which, I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
The Gerudo Desert consists of scorching dunes as far as the eye can see and is prone to frequent sandstorms.
Okay, stop. This game is going to be adorable. Stop. Stop. Are you kidding me? Nah, it's hella cute, right? Right, Star Latte? Right, the Lady of the Lodge has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. It's adorable. Like, just her, like, trying to wave off the heat. I'm like, I'm in. This is going to be fun.
Storms. That's no problem for the women of the Gerudo tribe, though. There are many ruins full of mysteries here. And an oasis, a great place to relax. Jabul
Bro, you can really just pull up a bed and sleep anywhere.
Waters is home to some of Hyrule's most scenic waterways. It's also where you can find the Sea Zora and the River Zora.
Oh. Whoa! Whoa, okay. So we're not just getting the kind of Zora that we saw in the, let's just say the Switch era of Zelda. There's going to be, actually, we knew about, actually, we covered this, that there were going to be two different types of Zora. Oh, it just came back to me, which is kind of nuts.
Who each reside in their respective villages. Though they don't always get along. What could they be fighting about?
Come on, give me the Zora Civil War. Give me the Zora Civil War. And obviously Zelda will come and she'll prevent that first shot from being fired, but give me the plot. Give me the stakes. Give me the stakes.
Daunting cliffs and lava flows dominate the Eldin volcano region. Kakariko Village is nestled at the mountain's base, but you'll have to brave treacherous trails to reach the home of the Gorons. Those rocks may look delicious. Alas, they are not for Hylians. The Faron wetlands are a lush labyrinth of vegetation. As you wander the jungle, you might come across...
I have to be honest, the level design's incredible. The level design is incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, you don't have to do much in these sort of top-down Zelda games, but you have to A, make it look good, make it look beautiful, which they have, and B, which I'm very confident about, is don't make it feel linear. Even if the game is linear, that's kind of what I'm asking for here, is the more linear Zelda. But the best part about linear Zelda is if at any point you wanted to break up the linear experience and go explore the map, the Legend of Zelda series allowed you to do that. Especially 3D Zelda, whether we're talking Ocarina, Majora, Wind Waker, Twilight, Skyward. We can keep going. But the fact of the matter is, one of the things that makes at least old school Zelda appealing is that that main campaign is very linear, but the map itself can be pretty non-linear. And that's what it looks that's what it looks like to be here.
Across a Deku scrub. Rumor has it these peculiar creatures have a voracious sweet tooth. During your travels, you're likely to encounter people dealing with problems great and small. Keep track of quests by browsing your adventure log whenever you'd like. Helping people with their troubles is a big part of your journey.
Okay, hold on. Let's dial that back just a second. I think that's pretty cool.
Keep track of quests by
This is keeping the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom aesthetic going, which I think is a good idea. Keep it for the Switch. You know what I mean? Keep that aesthetic going. I like that the Zelda series seems to organize itself by a console generation. Like every console generation, they tend to mix things up a little bit. GameCube, I mean, they mixed it up mid-console.
Browsing your adventure log whenever you'd like. Helping people with their troubles is a big part of your journey, and wise heroes are often rewarded for their good deeds. Objects known as waypoints are scattered throughout the land. Once you've discovered one, you can return to it quickly by selecting it on your map.
You know, I have to say, you don't realize it, but man, fast travel didn't used to be so simple. Like, don't get me wrong, surprisingly, Zelda's had fast travel mechanics for a while. Like in Ocarina of Time, for example, you used to have to play a song, certain songs to warp to different points. Which I think I do like that better than just like a streamlined tower where you could just put point on the map. I did like having to memorize certain songs, and to warp to certain points on the map, you had to play that song. That is something I need to see come back to Zelda. I feel like the love of music has been completely absent from modern Zelda, which breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. I mean, between Ocarina of Time with the Ocarina, I know. Majora's Mask, you could play guitar, bongos, horns, ocarina. You know, Wind Waker, you're the conductor. Twilight Princess, you're howling. Skyward Sword is really kind of where this started. Josh C says, I admit I am way more interested in this than Tears of the Kingdom, which I started but haven't gotten back to. Yeah, you know, look, again, I'm someone who loves Tears of the Kingdom, but this new era of Zelda, in particular, is very unique compared to previous eras of Zelda. If you're someone who prefers more of the linear experience, Echoes of Wisdom seems to be more up that alley. So Josh Z, I'm totally with you there. As much as I love Tears of the Kingdom, I think it was a fantastic game. I think it was rightfully so a candidate for Game of the Year last year. But I'm very excited to kind of experience this kind of Zelda again. Umbra says, man, it looks really good. It does. It does. Starlatte says, Nick showed me the emote you made yesterday, and I adore it. Yes, Umbra made probably the most accursed emote in Landy Lodge history, and you'll be pleased to know we'll be bringing it to YouTube and Twitch very soon. Mr. Dimry is here. What's going on, man?
Even with the benefit of fast travel, getting around Hyrule can prove challenging. At times like these, why walk when you can ride? Gallop right over weaker enemies to send them flying. And
tell me that's Epona. Tell me that's actually Epona.
Hop over small obstacles with ease. Once you learn to make a carrot echo, you'll be able to call upon your trusty steed from anywhere in the overworld.
Oh my god, that's her horse from Breath of the Wild! You can have multiple horses? Multiple?
As you explore, you may come across smoothie shops, manned by business scrubs. Here you can blend the ingredients you've collected into delicious drinks. Smoothies have different effects based on the ingredients you choose. They're sure to come in handy during your travels. You can also equip outfits and accessories to enhance your abilities. And to look fashionable, obviously.
Oh, come on! Hold on. She's like, I love it. That's so cool. That's one thing I like that modern Zelda's doing, is the ability to sort of like change your appearance. That's one of the most appealing things about modern Zelda. You know, you always had shades of it in previous Zelda games, but this is cool.
And to look fashionable.
Like, I'm sorry, she looks so cool.
Obviously. Whether you're trekking over rugged plateaus, through winding caves, or other complex locales, creating echoes is key to success. But sometimes they may not be enough. A huge boulder like this cannot be learned as an echo, and your other echoes won't move it either. For obstacles like these, Tri has got you covered with the power of Bind. Use it to make even a massive boulder follow Zelda's movement. Bind can help you unearth buried treasure, or even reposition troublesome enemies.
Yo!
You can also use Bind on your echoes. So get creative and find ways to forge ahead. Alternatively, if you want to
This is also, sorry to interrupt this freaking trailer again, but this is also something that I actually like that Modern Zelda's doing is, excuse me, it's really tapping into the creativity of the player to solve these puzzles. Now, I prefer more linear solutions as opposed to like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, where you can jank your way through a puzzle. That's my biggest complaint about Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. By the way, Breath of the Wild is one of my top 3 Zeldas, so I'm not a hater here. But I am saying that one of the things that I don't like is that some of these puzzles, you can really jank your way through it. You can make the most brain-dead caveman solution and get through. And I get that that's part of the appeal, but I definitely do prefer puzzles that have one singular solution and you got to figure it out. And I'm hoping that Echoes of Wisdom, with these sort of creative mechanics, with the bind and the echo, that even with all these creative options, the puzzle solution will be singular as opposed to like whatever you can jank out. Mr. Dimmery says, hi, the abilities look fun to play around with. That's again, man, look, games are games. They're not movies. Games are games. Much as we all love stories and talk stories on this channel, the game itself has to look fun, and this just looks plain fun. You know what I mean? Forget Princess Zelda in Smash. Can we get this Zelda in a Smash game? I guarantee you, honestly, dude, I'd be willing to bet the next Smash may have these Link and Zeldas in them.
follow a moving object yourself, you can use reverse bond to go where it goes. Take advantage of a creature's ability to fly or to move around quickly. Swapping between bind and reverse bond is a great way to find clever paths forward. Let your imagination run wild, and you're bound to come up with all sorts of ideas.
And you see, this is something else that, and it's the phrase of the day, everybody take a sip of your tea and coffee when I say Modern Zelda today. This is also something else that Modern Zelda has figured out, is the map itself has become a puzzle, right? And your abilities are the solution to traversing that map. That, to me, is one of the best things they have going for them. Because map exploration was my favorite thing about this era of Zelda. It's actually why I prefer Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. Because exploring that Hyrule for the first time, it's not something you're ever going to get back. And yes, Tears of the Kingdom mixed a few things up, added some new towns, but the Sky Worlds were pretty much vacant, and the frickin' Underground was pretty much vacant. So that experience of exploring Hyrule and having to figure it out in Breath of the Wild, to me, was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had in a Zelda game. And it looks like Echoes of Wisdom here is going to be vying for that same experience.
Use bind in combination with your echoes to overcome obstacles. Understanding how these two abilities work together will be essential to your progress. Mysterious rifts are overtaking Hyrule. What else will Zelda have to contend with in her grand adventure to save her kingdom? There's only one way to find out. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
All right, let's put that on pause, guys. I'm very excited for this game. It's right around the corner. Day one buy for me. Day one buy. I mean, look, playable Zelda is something the fan base has been asking for a very long time. And say what you will, I actually want to commend the Zelda fan base, that when it was announced, when this game was announced and that Zelda was the main playable character, from what I saw, you didn't have a fan base complaining, hey, why isn't she the lead of a mainline game? You had a fan base basically just rejoicing that this exists because it's a beautiful thing. And I'm excited to finally get my hands on it. All right, let's move on now. We have lots to discuss. One second here. Want to make sure we get everything. Okay, let's move on to our next story. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. All right. Let's pull this up. All right, here we go. We'll pull up a wide view for this one. So, in case you guys didn't know, the Final Fantasy 1-6 collection is on sale again. The Pixel remasters, which I believe were released last year, came out on Switch, PS4. It was a limited release, so not everybody was able to get their hands on it. However, Final Fantasy 1-6 collection, it is available for purchase again. Now, I know we got some Final Fantasy fans here today, so just wanted to throw this out there in case anybody was looking to get their hands on this. I think it's a fantastic thing, this Pixel remaster. I hope that the PS1 era will eventually get a remaster like this. A remaster, not a remake. A remaster like this. Okay. Let's move on to our next quick little story here. Game Informer has shut down. Man, let me tell you. I have my gripes with Game Informer, personally, but they were a huge part of my, like, childhood gaming experience. As a kid, I had Game Informer dropped on me every single month. Like, that and Nintendo Power. Like, that was my shit, guys. That was my shit. Like, Nintendo Power and Game Informer, I remember flipping through those, seeing what games were coming, trying to get, like, updates on games that I was waiting for. Like, at the end of the day, look, I'll say this, just to get it on the table. My gripe with Game Informer is I think they bear some responsibility for the state of video game reviews. And I guess what I mean by that is all of a sudden for like Game Informer, like how do I put this? We live in a world now where perfect. We live in a world now where if somebody gives a game a 6 out of 10, that means it's bad. And I think that we can leave at the feet of Game Informer. Right? Because a 6 out of 10 should not be seen as a bad game. That should just be seen as like a good game, a pretty good game. Like that's what a 6 out of 10 should be. But Game Informer reached a point where good games were getting 8, 9, 10, and bad games were getting 5, 6. You very rarely saw a game go below 4, and that's because obviously in order to get coverage for these games, they had to placate the developers and the studios that were giving them access. So we kind of created this world where unless you were really kissing ass, it was hard to get access. Because again, even when Game Informer gave a bad review, they very seldom went below a 5 or a 6. Seldom. Not that they wouldn't, but very seldom would they. So I think it kind of created this world where these numbers don't mean anything. An 8 out of 10 for Paul is very different than an 8 out of 10 for Peter. And suddenly a good game can't get a 6 or a 7, right? That's sort of just become a mediocre number now, which I think completely throws off the scale. But what do I know? Let me get away from that. Game Informer did some tremendous things for the gaming industry, honestly, especially back when, print was still viable. So listen, it was a hell of a run. 33 years, longer than me. I'm 32. 33 years. That's a hell of a run. Honestly, everybody who works over there should be proud of themselves. It is a mark of the gaming world that will not soon be forgotten. Carly Stella is here. What is going on? Get your coffee. Thanks for coming to the lodge and visiting, Carly. Everyone, make sure you're following Carly Stella on Twitch. She's tremendous streamer. All right. Gang them in the... Oh, what's up, Suko Bars? Good to see you, man. But now let's move on to the Final Fantasy XIV news. Let's switch this up a little bit. I actually think this article we can pull up like this. So, Final Fantasy XIV is going to be getting another graphics update. Basically, FF14, one of the things that I think is fantastic about this game and the studio that creates it is, look, I've been playing the game for probably 3 years now, And I've seen, just in that short time, that they are very good at... why am I wearing these? They are very good at listening to fan feedback. They are very good at basically making the updates that the player base wants to enhance the experience. Now, for those who may not know, Final Fantasy XIV came out 10 years ago. Like, it's an old game at this point, but campaigns continue to get patched in. So the latest campaign, Dawn Trail, just came out last month. Now, with the release of Dawn Trail, Final Fantasy XIV got a massive graphics overhaul, which made the game basically go from sort of a PS3 aesthetic to now more of a PS4, PS4 Pro aesthetic when it comes to its graphics and its capabilities. But with that graphics update, there have been some discrepancies. Some of the faces look a little bit off. Not everything has translated well. Square Enix has done a good job, and shout out to Aim Trot, who has basically put out a statement about player feedback on the official forum. Basically, they've taken feedback on what needs fixing from all these patches, and very soon we'll be getting another patch to kind of clean everything up further. So if you think the game looks good now, I can't wait to see how they polish it further with this next update. Now, let's get to one of our big stories. We got some news for Part 3 for Final Fantasy VII, and that's going to be that FF7 Rebirth's best minigame will make a grand return in Part 3 with a revamped or even better version. Of course, they are talking about Queen's Blood. Now, for those of you who played FF7 Rebirth, Queen's Blood may be the best minigame in the history of Final Fantasy. Hold your Blitzball. Take a seat, Triple Triad. Queen's Blood is the new minigame matriarch of the Final Fantasy series. I was obsessed with Queen Blood in my playthrough of Rebirth. I have maybe 130, 140 hours in Rebirth right now. Maybe 20, 30 of those are Queen's Blood. It really is a fun game. I want them to release a physical version of it. I would pay top dollar for a physical deck. Give me the deck, give me the board. Like, I love that game. They could have released Queen's Blood separately. That's how much fun it is. Now, when it comes to Part 3, we don't know a whole lot of, they're saying a better revamped version. Other than adding more cards to the game, all I really would like is give it online functionality. Let me take my deck of cards that I've collected and let me face off against other FF7 players. Because, I've been thinking about putting out a video about this for a while now. I think a lot of games these days, they sort of, how do I put this? I was talking to Lance about this actually this morning a little bit, but they lack staying power. Like, a lot of games these days, you pick them up, you play the campaign, you put them down, and you seldom come back to them. Because they don't always give you a reason to. And I'm not saying you have to as a developer, but I do think the games that age the best and the games that build a legacy are the ones that are worth going back to. For instance, Final Fantasy VII. Guys, the original Final Fantasy VII, there are still areas of the original Final Fantasy VII I have not been to. That game has been around 27 years, and there are still things in that original game that I haven't done. So I think if you made a Queen's Blood, because that's the thing, I love Queen's Blood, but I have beaten everybody in Rebirth on the map in Queen's Blood, I can't really play anymore. There's no more challenge. I'm better than all these NPCs on the map. But if you let me face off against other autonomous human beings that will adjust their strategy in real time, yes, please give me that. I haven't played Queen's Blood, but better than Blitzball? Dog, it is. Dog, it. And I'm a Blitzball apologist. I love Blitzball. Because I think too many people try to play Blitzball like it's a sports game. It's like, no. You got to think of Blitzball like it's a turn-based combat. I think that's where a lot of people get mixed up. They try to play Blitzball like it's Madden, but it's like, no, it's a turn-based sport in a way. But again, yes, I am a Blitzball apologist, and yes, Queen's Blood is better. Queen's Blood, let me face off against Lance and Carly and Josh and all you sickos, Umbra. You know what? You know who else? You know who else is obsessed with Queen's Blood? My wife. And I would love to compete and kick her ass in some Queen's Blood on a date night. All right? Give it to me, Square. But anyway, this is exciting stuff. Because again, I think Square Enix is getting good at this. A swig for Square Enix. It's also well balanced, says Dimry. 100%. Square Enix is very good at listening to the fans. Now, personally, I think they should only listen to fans about gameplay and not story. I think listening to the fans about story is a nightmare waiting to happen. But getting feedback from them about the gameplay experience and graphics, they're really doing a good job of that. And personally, I definitely appreciate it. Let's move on to our next story. Again, shout out to FF7. We'll have an FF7 podcast next week. Look out for that. All right. We got any Pokemon Mystery Dungeon fans? Because Red Rescue Team, as of today, has come to the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo Switch Online. I know they did sort of like a remake remaster of Mystery Dungeon and put it on the Switch, but I think it's cool that this game's available on the Game Boy Advance. I think the Game Boy Advance is a console, handheld console, that has aged tremendously well. Game Boy Advance games don't look bad, and they'll never look bad. I don't know. There aren't many console generations I can say that for, right? You can look at Game Boy Color, for instance, or the N64, or the GameCube. And the graphics, in a sense, look outdated. But the pixel art that the Game Boy Advance was able to achieve at 32 pixels was awesome. So this is a cool thing. It is a cool thing. Maybe I'll jump into it. Okay. We got another trailer to watch, ladies and gentlemen. Little something that came out of freaking nowhere, man. So, we talked a little bit of Dragon Ball last time. Talking about Sparking Zero. Whoa, hello. Talking about Sparking Zero. And guys, so apparently Dragon Ball is releasing a MOBA, which I believe, chat, you can correct me, I believe it stands for Massive Online Battle Arena. Anyway, if you think of, oh God, Pokemon made one. I can't even remember it because I never played it. But anyway, let's check this out.
Let's go! Right now, every second counts! Awesome! I'll destroy you! You'll pay! Time to finish this.
Now, break the dragon shell and go get the Dragon Ball!
I already won this.
Okay, guys, the song is amazing. Anybody else getting World Ends With You vibes from this song?
Get going!
No way! A powerful foe has appeared! Special beam counter!
I'm not gonna lie.
Beat this! You're through!
I'm not gonna lie. I went into this because I don't care about MOBAs. I do not care about them. I've played maybe 2 different MOBAs for a combined 20 minutes. I do not care about them. Something about this trailer's kind of winning me over. I'm not saying I'm gonna play it, but I'm a lot more tempted than I thought I was gonna be.
Incredible!
Let's put that on mute and let that loop for a minute. So I'm a bit of a sucker. I grew up on Dragon Ball, so it's an IP that's near and dear to my heart. But I have to be honest, I don't, even though I find this game actually appealing, I don't understand why they're doing this now. Sparking Zero is on the way. Why are you gonna divide up the attention? That's what confuses me. I don't know. It looks fun. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But again, MOBAs really aren't for me. I'm more into what they got going on with Sparking Zero. Because I love fighting games. But this could be a fun game to play with your friends. Pokemon Unite, that was it. Basically, Dragon Ball Unite. Basically. I dig it, man. I think it's cool. I think it's cool stuff. All right. Let's, how far in are we? Okay, we are coming up on time a little bit, but we got some time. Let's move on to our next story. I don't think we have much left. Oh, we're moving on to the Twitter. Very nice. Okay. Let's do this instead. Right? No. Actually, let's do this one like that. No. We'll do it like this. So yeah, guys, check it out. As of today, the Cartoon Network website has shut down. Wanted to touch on this because I used to love as a kid the Cartoon Network website. Like there were some good games on there. I don't know if you guys remember the Teen Titans fighting game was pretty good. I remember they had a thing too where like it was like a static screen and you could build like a scene on the static screen. It was almost like a Cartoon Network social media, and you had like a homepage people could go to, and you had to like play mini game. You had to play the games on the website to unlock the assets for your little scene. And I created like a whole Dragon Ball Z battle. I don't know, man. I just remember being really young and really liking the Cartoon Network website. So rest in peace, man. You know, good times. Good times. Rest in peace. End of an era, as you might say. I love the team fight. The team fighting. Hold on, Jesus. Let me get up and read that. Oh, the Teen Titans fighting. The Teen Titans fighting game was so much fun. So much fun. I was a Raven main. All right. Y'all would have gotten wrecked. Okay. Okay. My Cartoon Network Teen Titans fighting game website flash game moveset. I would wreck you. Let's move on to our next story here. This is an interesting one, which I'm glad we have a little bit of time for this. So we got some Square Enix numbers, people. And you know what? Let's actually, yeah, perfect. We got some Square Enix numbers. So I like covering this because I think it's Beast Boy. Oh, shout out to Beast Boy. How do I put this? I like covering Square Enix financial stuff because I think you could get a good insight to the industry through these sorts of press releases. So anyway, check this out. Their net sales are down 20%, but their operating income is up 250%. So kind of a mixed bag there. HD Games net sales down due to decline in sales of new titles compared to last year, which had FF16 and the Pixel Remaster. So, you know what? Let me go through all these bullet points, then I'll give my take. But HD Games turned profitable due to lower development and advertising costs. MMO sub-segment up year over year. So basically, let me get through them all. I got to stop myself here. Games for smart devices, PC browser sub-segment sales down, but operating income up. Publication net sales up 15%. Amusement net sales up 13%. Merchandising net sales down 6%. So kind of a, how do I put it? Kind of a lateral report, in my opinion, for Square Enix. I don't think it's neither good nor bad, but excuse me. If you get into the nitty gritty of what they put out, basically what you're seeing is Square Enix is not making really any money on console games. Console games have become profitable, right? Console games have become profitable, but they're not making nearly as much money on console games as they need to in order to, I guess, sustain themselves in the long run. Now, the good news is between their MMOs and their mobile games, they're making a killing. They're making an absolute killing with their MMO, FF14, and all their mobile games. So if you Kingdom Hearts fans are wondering why Missing Link is a mobile game like MMO hybrid, maybe that helps you understand. Because the company is having a trouble turning a significant profit on console releases, and they're finding that MMOs and mobile games have just been more profitable. Now, a lot of that has to do with that MMOs, for instance, you pay $15 a month to play FF14, and you could toggle that on and off. It's not like if you toggle it off, you lose everything. You know, they're very friendly about that. You could toggle it on and off as you wish. And mobile games, I mean, you guys know the story with mobile games. You get roped into buying shit. It's a psychological manipulation. And I'm not saying that in a purely negative way, but like whenever Crysis puts out some good looking outfits, you're going to want to maybe pay a little extra to get those good looking outfits. That's all I'm saying. So I think Square Enix needs to figure something out with their console releases, because I'm not saying they need to be as profitable as an MMO or as profitable as these mobile games. Because again, one of the reasons mobile games are super profitable is that the player base is always very active. If you achieve that, the development costs are much lower than a console game. You're not printing anything physically. So manufacturing costs are way lower. So it's just easier to turn a profit on a mobile game for reasons such as that. But what Square Enix clearly needs to do here in the future, if they want to make it for the long haul without getting bought out or being subject to another merger like they did in the early 2000s, they need to find a way to turn a profit on those console games. And I think what you're going to see, guys, is development costs are going to come down. They're not going to have the sort of, I can't see them having the giant budgets they've had the last couple of years. I just can't. So I think you're going to see development costs come down. I think you're going to start to see console exclusivity go away. They've already talked about that. And don't be surprised if you see more DLC in the form of skins. So, for instance, I think one of the ways Rebirth could make a killing if they had DLC options for outfits, right? It's not pay to win. You're not missing out on story content. This is the kind of DLC I actually really support. And shout out to Stellar Blade, by the way, just throwing out these outfits for free. You got to love it. But I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see some more aesthetic-based DLC in these games to try and maybe churn out a little more change, or very possibly they just bring those development costs down, and that alone allows them to turn up a profit. But the last thing I wanted to touch on today is D23, which is streaming tomorrow. Fortnite. So, any of you hoping for Kingdom Hearts, it's probably not going to happen. The best you might get is Sora in Fortnite, but I don't play Fortnite, so it wouldn't really excite me that much. However, speaking of Square Enix needing to turn things up, if they were to put Sora in Fortnite, that's a great way to get that character out to some younger players and get younger player base interested in the Kingdom Hearts series. But yeah, D23 is tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be all Fortnite based. But yeah, PC day one is huge. Dude, Lands, it's a game changer. It's a game changer because for some people like me, like for instance, because I'm a Soul Calibur shill, I bought Soul Calibur on PlayStation and PC. So you had one customer, but you sold 2 copies. That's something this multi-platform can do, you know, because I do still prefer to play games on my console, on my couch, in the comfort of my reclining couch, you know. But I also love PC for the unique things it offers, like mods and other ways that it improves the experience. Umbra says, not saying it's going to happen, but a KH4 trailer dropping after all this time instead of a Fortnite stream would be so funny. Look, it could happen at any time. It could happen at any time. But honestly, I think Missing Link is going to shadow drop before we see anything Kingdom Hearts 4 related. But all right, we are coming up on time here. It is almost 8 a.m., which means I need to get to work. But luckily, I work right there. So work computer right there. My commute is very short. It's from this seat to that computer chair that I'll wheel over here. But anyway, we're going to wrap up today's episode there. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. I love starting my Friday mornings this way. This is episode 3 of Morning Quest. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Thank you to everybody who showed up and tuned in live. If you're watching this back, I appreciate you all the same. But again, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Another great episode. I got some stuff in the works I think you're going to like. I mean, I say that every time, but it's not like I'm lying. And very possible later today, we'll be doing a Xenoblade stream. I've been dying to get back into Xenoblade. So, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We're going to wrap it up here. Have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will talk to you all later. Peace, love.